Dear brothers and sisters, thank you for being here just as you are. Whether your heart is full or heavy, whether you feel close to God or far from Him, this moment is for you. Let us take a breath. Let us be still for a moment. Let us allow the silence to speak to our hearts. What does God really want from us? Not more achievements, not perfection, not wealth or eloquent prayers. God wants something simpler, something deeper, something real. He wants our heart. He wants mercy. Dear brothers and sisters, before we can speak of giving mercy, we must first speak of receiving it. This is where everything begins. Not with us reaching toward God, but with God already reaching toward us. Sometimes we think we must first fix ourselves, clean up our lives, prove we are worthy before we can come close to God. But that is not the gospel. That is not the God we see in Jesus. The truth is simpler and far more beautiful. God comes close first. He knocks on the door of the heart, gently, patiently, again and again. He does not force his way in. He waits. He waits like a father watching the road, hoping for the return of his child. And when we finally take one step toward him, just one, he runs. He runs, not with anger or judgment, but with joy, with tears, with arms open wide. How often we forget this. How often we carry a burden we were never meant to carry alone. The burden of guilt, of past mistakes, of the voices that say, you're not good enough. God could never love you like this. But these voices are not of God. The voice of the Father says, come to me. I see you. I know you. And I love you. There was once a woman very poor who would sit outside a church each morning. She never went inside. One day a priest asked her why. She said, because I have nothing to offer. My clothes are torn. I've done things I'm ashamed of. I'm not worthy to enter. The priest knelt beside her and said, then let us sit here together and offer God our poverty. This is the heart of mercy, not pretending to be whole, but offering God our wounds, offering Him our story, even the parts we hide. That is when healing begins. That is when grace flows. Jesus didn't come for the righteous, but for the sinner. He didn't walk among palaces, but among fishermen, lepers, tax collectors, and outcasts. He sat with those the world had pushed aside. He looked into their eyes, not with disappointment, but with compassion. And He still does today with you, with me. So I ask you, have you let yourself be loved by God? Truly, not just believed it in your mind, but felt it in your heart. Have you let His mercy wash over you, like sunlight warming your skin after a long winter? Let yourself be found. Let yourself be embraced. God is not tired of you. God is not disappointed in you. He only wants you home. This is where mercy begins, in letting go of fear, of shame, of pride, and allowing yourself to be loved just as you are. And once you do, everything changes, because a heart that has been touched by mercy can never stay the same. Come and be loved. Come and begin again. Dear brothers and sisters, when mercy has touched your heart, it cannot stay hidden. Mercy longs to move. It longs to reach others, just as it reached you. We are not called to be containers of God's love. We are called to be rivers. Let it flow. Let it go beyond you. So often we think holiness is something far away, something for saints in stained glass windows, or for those who live in monasteries and wear robes. But holiness lives in the mother who forgives her son who has made a mistake. It lives in the man who visits his aging neighbor, who listens, who gives time. It lives in the heart of a person who chooses to love, even when it costs something. Mercy is not just a feeling, it is a decision. A movement of the heart that becomes a gesture, a word, a presence. It is the quiet choice to forgive when we could have condemned, to comfort when we could have ignored, to serve when we could have passed by. There is a young boy I once heard about whose family had very little. Each morning he would walk to school with a sandwich, one sandwich wrapped in paper, but he never ate it. Instead, he gave it to another child sitting by the school gate who had no parents and no food. Every day, the same small act, one sandwich, given freely. That child too was a prophet of mercy. And yet, how many times do we hold back? We say, they don't deserve it, or they should know better. But mercy is not about what others deserve. If it were, none of us would receive it. Mercy is about giving what we ourselves have received from God: patience, compassion, a second chance, 100 chances. Jesus said, be merciful just as your Father is merciful. He did not say, be merciful only if it is easy, or be merciful when the other deserves it. He simply said, be merciful. This is not a suggestion. It is a way of life. It is the road that leads to peace in our homes, in our communities, and in our own hearts. And this mercy begins with the smallest things: a kind word, a listening ear, a meal shared, a hand held in silence. These things may not make the news, but they make heaven rejoice. Let us ask ourselves today, who needs my mercy? Who have I kept at a distance that God may be asking me to draw near? Who waits silently for the tenderness I've been too afraid to offer? The world does not need more noise or judgment. It needs mercy. Real, living, breathing mercy. Let us be those who carry it quietly, humbly, every day. Let us become instruments of God's love in the places we live, in the lives we touch, and in the hearts we meet. And let it begin not tomorrow, but today. Dear brothers and sisters, when we look into the eyes of the poor, we see the face of Christ. This is not a metaphor. It is the gospel. It is the mystery of love made flesh. Jesus chose to be born not in a palace, but in a stable. He chose the company of fishermen, the touch of lepers, the tears of widows. He did not avoid the poor. He became poor for our sake. And even now, he walks among them. But too often we pass by, not because we are cruel, but because we are busy, distracted, or afraid. We may see the woman on the corner with the cardboard sign, or the man sleeping under the bridge, and think someone else will help them. But God does not call someone else. He calls you. He calls me. There is a deep hunger in the world, not only for bread, but for dignity, for being seen, for being loved. And this hunger cries out from refugee camps, from broken families, from children without homes, and from the elderly left alone in silence. They are not strangers. They are our brothers and sisters. I remember a story of a young man who volunteered at a shelter. One evening, he gave a blanket to an older man sitting outside in the cold. The man took the blanket with tears in his eyes and whispered, "Tonight I won't feel forgotten." That is what love does. It tells the forgotten, you matter. You belong. You are not alone. This is not charity. This is justice. God does not ask us to give from our leftovers. He asks us to open our hearts, our hands, our homes. He asks us to see with new eyes, to recognize that every person, no matter their clothes, their past, their pain, is our neighbor. Let us not complicate the commandment. Jesus said clearly, "Whatever you did for the least of these, you did it for me." Not what you felt, but what you did. A warm coat, a shared meal, a respectful conversation. These simple acts can become sacred, but to live this way, we must first let go of fear. Fear of inconvenience, fear of the other, fear of not having enough. God's mercy is not stingy. When we give, we receive even more. So I ask you, gently, who are the poor in your life? Not only those without money, but those without love, without friendship, without hope. Go to them. Sit with them. Listen. Give what you can. And give from the heart. Because when we draw close to the poor, we draw close to Jesus. And when we love the ones the world forgets, we begin to understand what God truly desires from us. Let us not wait for better timing. The time is now. Let us begin today with mercy in our hearts and with Christ in the eyes of the poor. Dear brothers and sisters, there is a mercy the world often forgets, yet it is one of the deepest and most beautiful. The mercy of listening, truly listening, to listen not to reply, but to understand, to listen not with judgment, but with the open heart of one who welcomes. In a world so loud with opinions, noise, and endless distractions, to truly listen is a sacred act. Jesus listened again and again in the Gospels. We see him pause, truly stop, and hear the cry beneath the words. He listened to the woman at the well, though others would have shunned her. He listened to the blind man shouting from the roadside, though the crowd tried to silence him. He listened to the thief on the cross, whose final words of sorrow were met not with judgment, but with hope. How many people around us long to be heard? A spouse whose words are drowned in busyness. A teenager who feels invisible. An elderly neighbor who spends the day in silence. A single mother with no one to confide in. A stranger whose pain has no voice. Their hearts cry out, not always in words, but in silence. And mercy listens. To listen is to make space, to say to another, you matter, your story matters. I am here with you. This is a deep act of love. It may seem small, but it is never wasted. A woman once said, I was on the edge. No one saw me. But one person listened, and I found the strength to live another day. Sometimes this is how God saves. Through one human ear, one compassionate presence. This mercy of listening calls us to slow down, to look up from our screens, to set aside our urgency. It invites us to sit beside, to lean in, to hold silence with another. And it calls for humility, the kind that says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here with you. That too is gospel. In our homes, in our communities, in our church. What would change if we listened more? If we listened to the anger without fear, to the sorrow without trying to fix, to the questions without rushing to answer. We must remember God listens. In our most fragile prayers, in our confusion, in our silence, He listens, and He invites us to do the same. So I ask you gently, to whom must you listen today? Who is waiting for your attention, your time, your heart? Let us begin again with ears open and hearts willing. Let us make room for the other, not just in our schedules, but in our souls, because mercy listens, and in listening, we love. Dear brothers and sisters, there is something that each of us longs for, often in silence. something deeper than success, deeper than comfort. It is peace. Not the fragile peace the world gives, but the peace of knowing we are loved, forgiven, and held in the heart of God. This peace is the fruit of mercy. And when we allow mercy to live within us, when we offer it, receive it, walk with it, our hearts begin to rest. But this peace does not come from avoiding conflict or hiding our wounds. It comes from bringing them into the light. It comes from standing before God just as we are, tired, broken, struggling, and hearing Him say, "You are still my beloved." The world teaches us to hide our failures. Mercy invites us to bring them forward, to allow grace to enter through the cracks. I once met a man who had spent many years in prison. He told me that the hardest part was not the bars or the walls. It was the shame. He believed he was too far gone, too broken. But one day a volunteer visited the prison, not with long sermons, but with silence and a warm smile. She returned every week, and over time he began to believe he was still worth something. He said, "She saw me as a human being. For the first time, I believed God might see me that way too." That is the quiet miracle of mercy. We all carry things inside, mistakes we regret, words we wish we could take back, people we have hurt. And yes, we have also been hurt. We carry wounds we don't speak of. But mercy is not about pretending these things never happened. Mercy is about letting love be greater than our failures. It is about choosing to forgive not only others, but sometimes ourselves. Jesus forgave from the cross. He looked down at those who mocked him, who abandoned him, and he said, "Father, forgive them." He didn't wait for them to change first. Mercy leads. Mercy steps forward. There can be no peace without forgiveness in our homes, our communities, our hearts. We must ask, whom do I need to forgive? And where do I need to be forgiven? It begins with a simple act, a conversation, a prayer, a tear, a step, and from there, God does the rest. So let us not hold on to what weighs us down. Let us lay it before the Lord. Let us open our hearts to mercy. Mercy that brings peace. Mercy that heals. Mercy that restores what was lost. And let us go forth as peacemakers, gentle in speech, generous in forgiveness, brave in love. For in choosing mercy, we choose the way of Christ. And in choosing Christ, we find the peace our hearts have always longed for. Dear brothers and sisters, we have spoken of mercy, not as an idea, but as a way of life. A mercy that sees, a mercy that listens, a mercy that forgives, a mercy that reaches out to the forgotten and lifts them up. This is what God truly wants from us. not perfection, but hearts open to love. Not grand gestures, but daily acts of compassion, not fear, but trust in His tender mercy. Let us not leave these words behind as we walk away. Let them echo. Let them stir us. Let them lead us back to the gospel, back to the poor, back to our families, our communities, and to our own hearts. Let us begin again. Let us choose love again. Let us become, day by day, instruments of God's mercy in a world that is so thirsty for kindness, for dignity, for hope. You do not walk alone. Christ walks with you. In every act of love, in every struggle to forgive, in every small step toward peace. And even when you fall, He will lift you up. Even when the road feels long, He will guide you. So go forward with courage, love without fear, forgive without counting the cost, serve without looking for reward, and never forget God's mercy is greater than your past, stronger than your pain, and always ready to begin anew. Good luck, my dear friends, on this sacred journey of mercy. May your hands be gentle, your hearts open, and your lives a light for others. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your desire to grow in love. Thank you for saying yes to the call of God in a world that so deeply needs His presence. May the Lord bless you and keep you always in His peace. Amen.